Thank you. Do you believe once an addict, always an addict? I don't. For me, being in the water, especially the ocean, has always been my superpower of serenity. I was about 10 or so water skiing down the Intercoastal on a hot sunny afternoon, cutting the waves and taking in the day, when I realized there was a pod of dolphins surfing the waves with me. Dolphins are amazing mammals, and they love to surf just for fun. I was mesmerized watching them. These few events during my youth made it almost bearable. My childhood was violent. Born into a family of generational dysfunction and alcoholism, my world was filled with pain. The unrelenting physical and emotional abuse was magnified by a horrific sexual assault at 12, which set into motion my drinking to numb the pain, and everything changed. By 17, I was a drunk and a stoner, but the alcohol and weed were not helping me to escape the emotional roller coaster I was on. I'd been told that the labels of AA and NA were now mine for a lifetime, that I was an addict forever. Think about that message, especially to a 17-year-old. You see, our choices in life truly show who we are, not just our abilities. Much like the functional addict I had been for 15 years on this destructive path before walking away from everything. My career in electronics in the 80s, my children, family, life. A path too many walks believing if they can hold down a job, feed the kids, keep a roof over their heads, they're not addicts. For me, staying high 24/7 would be what the next 10 years would hold. I don't recommend the street life. Jail and rehab resemble each other much more than people realize. Recovery and relapse had all left me brutalized. Those last few months of living hell in addiction brought me painful seizures almost daily. And 3 near-death experiences with the EMTs jump-starting my heart within seconds of a trip to the morgue. Beginning a journey to change my identity and overcome the stigma this lifetime label had brought me, the jailhouse rehab program taught me more about me than the 10 rehabs previously. The academic behavioral format helped me become emotionally reachable. It demanded us to be engaged all day in reading, writing, group therapy sessions led by PhD Miss Ann to take part in a growth mindset focused on putting our best self forward. You can change who you are was the message. This quest to understand my own neurotic, emotional self and excited to put my student mindset back in action, I was off to the library. Feeling energized by this desire to learn all I could about addiction, those who created the theories to treat addiction. What I found made me sick, sad, and angry. So many had lost their battle from the lack of follow-through beyond rehab. I can almost hear the waves rolling on shore to fill us with serenity. You see, the government's knew for 30 years. 30 years that 12-step programs are ineffective in breaking the generational dysfunction of addiction. After extensive research in 2005, NIH, the National Institute of Health, recognized SAMHSA findings to be accurate, that AA and NA are not group therapy. In 2022, SAMHSA, the Substance Abuse Mental Health Services Administration, revealed that peer specialists are the most effective way in reaching those with addiction issues. The problem remains how to bring effective aftercare group therapy to our youth unable to afford it. This failure in the system is what I set out to change. We must break this barrier for our youth who feel alone in this battle, this fixed mindset of being an addict forever. The stigma, this label, they say, must be carried for a lifetime? A label brought on by the trauma that set into motion the need to suppress the pain they do not know how to process. The root cause of 65% of all adolescent drug and alcohol usage is childhood trauma. Those of us with lived experiences sharing the truth of what addiction will bring from the self-destructive path they are on and their choice, because yes, they get a choice, of two paths going forward. They can change directions now in their youth, avoiding years of additional pain brought on by addiction, and deal with the reason they became an addict in the first place. Or, in too many cases, die in addiction, chasing that elusive first high to drown out the past. Only by helping our youth change this identity and overcome the stigma, this label, can they truly be free from the past, untethered from the old myth, once an addict, always one, a realization that they do not have to wear the label of addict for a lifetime. What if empowering our youth, we help them become emotionally reachable, developing the trust needed for the healing to begin? As we know, getting the patient to talk is truly the hardest part of any therapeutic approach, though is the only way forward. Only then will our youth have the chance to break the generational dysfunction plaguing too many families, breaking barriers that once isolated them. Using a paradigm shift to reach those once unreachable, a peer-patient leveling approach is how we defeat this ever-growing monster, addiction. With trained specialists engaging our communities in a group dynamic format, one that is already well accepted within society, the focus will shift from one of socialization to a centered therapeutic format using an academic behavioral approach, focused for maximum clarity. Having true discussions on how to combat the many taboo subjects on how to deal with negative feelings or behaviors affecting our youth and the consequences it creates by engaging in this new healing dynamic. After 25 years in addiction and 21 years in recovery, the past does not define the future. I am living proof. Our youth can live a life filled with purpose, hope, and confidence to be happy, successful young adults with a novel approach to fill the gap left by the rehab system and bring youth community group therapy to a broader demographic base is the solution to reach more people suffering from mental health addiction issues. Much like that pod of dolphins chasing me down the waterway and learning from each other and teaching their young, we too must share the truth with ours. My inner dolphin superpower found its way through the struggles of raging seas to live a happy life, surfing the waves once again. I envision a world that can find its way out of the pain that drives hopelessness, violence, and addiction. By empowering our youth to embrace this change, leaving a better future for our children and theirs. However, the lack of follow-through beyond rehab and these outdated programs in our communities call for change. Clearly, the times are different. It calls for us to revisit and demand adjustment to the approach used today. Breaking barriers for our youth to be the change the world needs. Role models for young and old alike. The flower that blooms in adversity is the rarest and most beautiful of all. Thank you.